Hey, Bill. Good. You? Good. Yeah. Sorry it took so long. I'm just about to go into a meeting, so I thought I better phone you before I do that.
We'll bring this meeting to order. Good afternoon or good morning. The TNRD acknowledges that we connect with many First Nation communities across our vast regional district and today are located on the Tecumlets Thompson-Nicola territory. Situated within the unceded ancestral lands of the Swepnik Nation, the TNRD appreciates the partnership that we have with Tecumlets Swepnik and respect the territory and the land on which we gather today. We'll call this meeting to order. Election of committee chair and vice chair.
Thank you, Chair Schaefer. Chair Schaefer and I spoke about this earlier, and we've been doing this with all of our committees, given that we only have one more meeting for most of our committees before the election. So if the committee is okay with it, staff are recommending that we just maintain the current chair and vice chair positions, but I'll leave that to the committee to decide.
Your wish.
I think that would be helpful.
Director Elliott.
Madam Chair, I would like to move that Carol Schaefer and I'm sorry, I don't know who's vice chair. Oh, Mel Rothenberger remain in their positions.
There's a recommendation for the minutes of October the 20th, 2021. Would somebody like to move them?
Also move.
All in favor? Reports and inquiries, 4.1 Regional Solid Waste Management Plan, 2022 Progress Report. The report will be from the General Manager of Operations. The floor is yours.
The verbal report will be from the manager of solid waste and recycling, Adriana Elliott.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you. I'm Adriana Mayu. Nice to see you all again. I met you last October, so it's good to be back here at the committee. I'm going to give an overview update here of, oh, my little clicker is not working. There we go. It's an update progress report on the current initiatives in the Regional Solid Waste Management Plan. So a snapshot of where we're at right now. So some key strategy updates. The report goes into some more detail. I'm going to give kind of the higher level overview in this update, but happy to answer any questions that there might be at the end as well. So one of the key strategies in the plan is source separation of recyclable and recoverable components of our waste stream. This is in progress. Right now, the TNRD rates, we charge $160 per ton for commingled demolition, renovation, and construction material. So that means that it's all mixed together and has not been separated. If customers separate it out, we have lower fees for wood waste, shingles, and concrete asphalt, which are easily divertible. So we definitely see that there's good incentive there for people to reduce their waste in diversion. City of Kamloops just updated their rates for these materials. The rates came into effect January 1st of this year. And so they've increased the rate for commingled DRC to $200 per ton. And then they've rejigged, they have got the Mission Flats landfill, that's MFL. KRCC is the Kamloops Recovery Center landfill out on Owl Road. They're better set up there to deal with construction renovation materials. So that's why you see that the fees are lower for those materials being brought to that landfill. They're trying to direct the waste over that way. I'm hoping he makes it in time. Glenn Farrow from the city is going to join us hopefully for this meeting, and we'll give an overview of this as well for you. And then we continue to offer many free materials for people to drop off. So at the top is the suite of different extended producer responsibility programs that we offer at our larger sites. So all of those materials can be dropped off for free. And of course, we take scrap metal for free. And in 2020, started taking tires on rim and mattresses for free as well. Last year in 2021, the mandatory recyclables bylaw was passed and implemented. And that bylaw focuses on banning cardboard from disposal in the landfill. So we've been a little bit delayed on this project, but it's in progress now. We're planning on expanding the list of materials that bylaw covers, but for now, the first one is cardboard, also referred to as old corrugated cardboard, or OCC. The focus is on cardboard coming from the industrial, commercial, and institutional waste stream, because that's 40% of overall incoming material. And this will be applicable at all disposal facilities in the TNRD and also includes City of Kamloops facilities. This is something that will be enforced at facilities and not at the curbside or alley. So for those who are thinking of curbside collection programs, residents putting cardboard in their garbage container, that is not part of the enforcement plan for this bylaw. It'll only focus on loads arriving at the destination site. Any haulers who are coming into the site, they're the ones that are responsible for the materials that are delivered. So let's say Super Save Disposal has hired Waste Connections Canada to haul their dumpster, and it's full of cardboard. It would be Waste Connections Canada that would receive the ticket for the banned material being in the load. So any load that contains the maximum allowable threshold of 10% or more by volume of the recyclable material will receive a ticket. And this is a visual inspection of that load. And the inspector would assess, okay, is this more than 10%? And then issue a ticket if required. So right now, our updated timeline. So from March to April, which is right now, we've been doing communication and education. So reaching out again to the stakeholders, training staff, kind of engaging with them on the education component. We'll also be updating within the next couple of days the website and putting out an updated press release that will be soon moving into the mock ticketing and inspection phase. So that'll be starting next month. And what this would look like is TNRD staff people will be visiting different TNRD facilities and City of Kamloops facilities, inspecting loads. And if they contain the cardboard over the allowable threshold, the customer would be given a mock ticket. So they would say, here's your penalty. Once we're in the enforcement phase, this is how much this would actually cost. And this is a continued part of the education process. And then in August, we will be moving forward with the actual enforcement and issuing actual penalties for those loads. So we have delivered resource packages to different property management groups, member municipalities, and hauling contractors. We're finding that the stakeholders are well aware. We engaged with them on this in, I think, 2020 and 2021. And staff are learning which stakeholders require additional support to educate their customers. And we're working with them on helping them deliver that information and giving them the resources that they require. And as a reminder, we do have recycling opportunities for corrugated cardboard throughout the region. And this has led to a pretty positive response of this initiative because it is something that's easily divertible. And we're recruiting an additional bylaw officer to help enforce this ban. So that's currently in the recruitment phase. We've shortlisted some candidates and we'll do interviews next week. And it's a temporary 1-year term. The next strategy is prioritizing organic waste reduction, and it looks like my formatting got a little jumbled up there, so sorry about that. Just as an update, we offer the images there. This one, do I have a little pointer on here?
Or the mouse, or the top one looks good, the mouse.
Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't go over there.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are the composters that we offer at a subsidized rate to residents, just as a reminder. This one over here, the Earth Machine, this is kind of your standard backyard composter. We sold 136 of these last year. This one in the middle is our vermicomposting system. So this is a worm composter, really good at reducing kitchen scraps. And the one over here on the left is a green cone food digester. And this one uses enzymes to break down food waste into mostly water, which leaches out of this basket that's just buried under the ground. And then in Blue River, we have been, we haven't started this yet. We'll hope to get this project going in June 2021, but it's a pilot program to collect food scraps at the community garden. Pardon me? Oh, shoot. Yeah, that's a typo there. June 2022 is what that should say. Sorry, thank you. And this is an initiative that's in partnership with the Blue River Improvement District. So I'll be excited to present the results of that to you in October. Sun Peak's composting pilot project. So this image here, it's called a comptainer, and it is like a composting machine. And what they're doing there is actually mixing together wood chips, biosolids, and food waste and composting that material. So this is an initiative that began in 2021, and the food waste is being collected from Mass's Bar and Grill, Morrissey's Public House, and the Grand Conference Center. And so far we've seen pretty promising results from that initiative. It's working well. There was a bit of playing around with the different ratios and temperatures to get the compost batch at the end. It takes about 30 days to process. Yeah, it was definitely looking promising. So if that was expanded, in order to handle all of their biosolids, they would require 10 of those containers. Right now they have 2 that they're running, plus additional food waste. And right now, I guess one of the biggest issues is contamination in the system from the food waste. So if that's expanded, it's very important that, that there not be contamination in that waste stream. So if it was expanded, we may need additional screening and a blower, which helps keep the temperature down. The food waste makes it quite hot. And then this could be a possible revenue source, selling finished product back to the community. So that's pretty exciting. We're working on a year-round household hazardous waste depot. So over the last number of years, the TNRD has held we call them household hazardous waste roundups, and we generally do a few of them a year in different communities. We're looking to create a year-round depot where residents can bring their household hazardous waste for safe disposal, keeping it out of the waste stream. And it will primarily accept materials that are currently not accepted under the Extended Producer Responsibility Program. So right now, those programs accept things like paint, pesticides, flammable liquids, but they have to be in their original labeled containers to be accepted. If they're not, then they cannot be dropped off as part of the program. And these are often materials that residents struggle to get rid of, and sometimes they get, hidden in a garbage bag and just thrown away, which isn't ideal. This facility would be based in the city of Kamloops, but would be accessible by all residents of the TNRD for free drop-off. And this will replace the annual collection events and increase convenience of disposing of these materials. The roundup events are great, but we often hear from people that they've missed them. When's the next one? And then they're stuck holding on to this material. This will provide a year-round opportunity to get rid of those materials at no cost. So right now we're in the process of finalizing a request for proposals for that service. It'll be posted for approximately 3 weeks. 6 weeks. And then we're hoping that in June 2022, we can select a preferred proponent. The TNRD and City of Kamloops staff will work together on supporting the proponent in meeting City of Kamloops zoning requirements. And the goal would be to have this operational by fall of 2022. And then continued updates are we've got increased staff capacity for promotion and education. In 2018, we hired a waste reduction coordinator as part of that initiative, and we continue to hire summer students that assist us with our educational programming in the summertime. We've just hired a new student for this year and she'll be joining us in May. We continue to lobby the province for improved and expanded EPR programs. So these are the provincial programs that allow us to accept materials from customers for free. So we continue to engage with them for the expansion of those programs. We have a region-wide illegal dumping program, which continues to operate. We have contractors that are cleaning up sites regularly during the spring, summer, fall months to keep our region clean, working with the Conservation Officer Service as well on the enforcement side. One of the other initiatives is the Heffley Creek landfill, converting it to a DRC only landfill. That was complete in 2018. So we no longer landfill any refuse or municipal solid waste there. It's only demolition, renovation, and construction material. Establish a plan monitoring advisory committee. The committee was established last year. We were delayed meeting due to COVID, but we will be meeting with that committee for the first time on Monday. So that has been established. And then we committed to a waste composition study, and that was complete last year. And the results of that were presented at the October 2021 committee meeting. And Glenn Farrow has joined us. Welcome, Glenn. So Glenn is going to give an update on some of the regional solid waste management plan initiatives that the city of.
Can we have some questions concerning what you said?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Who is in the PAMC? Like, what is the makeup of the PAMC group? Who's involved in that?
Yeah, so that committee is made up of 9 members. It's the chair of the Regional Solid Waste Management Committee, which is Director Schaefer, 2 members of the public, 3 members from private industry, and members from the city of Kamloops as well. So Glenn is a part of that committee. We can pull up the list quickly and confirm the members if you would like.
No, that's fine. I was just wondering the makeup. That was all. I
Oh,
don't need
okay.
to know the members.
Yep.
The other one, when they come in and they have more than 10% of their load that requires ticketing, is there any way that there's an opportunity for them to sort out their, if they haven't pre-sorted?
Oh, they haven't pre-sorted the cardboard.
Yeah, can they actually pull that out on site and look after that?
Yeah,
Right.
that's a good question. Jamie, are you able to answer?
Can't get my, oh, there we go. So yeah, the way the enforcement would happen is that it would be at the actual disposal phase. So all our facilities have opportunity to recycle cardboard. So this is only if people choose to bypass separating out and recycling it and go straight to the garbage, dispose of the garbage. So it's not entering the site. They're allowed to enter the site with however they want the load. It's just if they put that load directly in the garbage and it's full of cardboard and don't take the opportunity to separate it. Although we always encourage people to separate it beforehand because it's a lot easier to do it that way than on site. We don't like people trying to separate on site, but yes, they would have an opportunity.
When we talk about the bylaw, the officer that we're hiring, does he travel from site to site? Is that the idea?
Correct.
Yeah, so there's, and if there's loads that are coming in, is it only the bylaw officer that can write the ticket?
Correct.
Yeah, so he actually has to be on the site when there's a load comes in that,
Yes.
yeah. So that you got, how many sites would you think they would, did they go to every site or just some of the bigger ones, or how's that gonna work?
Yeah, they'll focus on the sites that have an opportunity for the commercial cardboard recycling and rove around on a schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't want the responsibility for ticketing to be on the site attendants. So yeah, we'll do our best to just cover those sites regularly with the officer.
Thank you. One other question, if you don't mind. The annual collection for the hazardous waste, I know that's been very popular in our community. And they do collect, I think Jamie's been to a couple of them in there. They do collect a lot of household product. is there no way that we're gonna do that ever again, or it's all gonna come either, does it have to go to the Lower Nicola site, or does it all come to Kamloops, or how is that gonna work?
So the Lower Nicola site, they can accept household hazardous waste as long as it's in an original labeled container. So that does give an option for quite a lot of that material. In Merritt in particular, we see a lot of material come into that event that could be brought to the Lower Nicola Eco Depot. So waste motor oil, paint, pesticides, or flammables that are in those labeled containers. So I think part of it's an awareness piece and promoting that program, what you can bring here. The focus for the roundup previously, we would try to advertise, clean out your cupboard. If you don't know what it is, here's the time to get rid of it. But we would get a lot of the stuff that you could have brought to the Lower Nicola Eco Depot year round.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there'll be definitely an educational component to say, hey, you can still bring these things here. And if you can't, here's what you would do with it. So we wouldn't be doing the roundup any longer with the year-round facility in place.
So if there's an unknown chemical in just in a container, how are we gonna dispose of that if it's not accepted at the dump?
They would bring it to the Kamloops year-round facility and it would be accepted
Yeah.
for free.
I doubt if that's gonna happen, that part, from Mary
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
That was all. Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Director Rice?
Thank you, Chair. I just had a question about the Blue River composting pilot program and in partnership with the Blue River Improvement District. And I'm just wondering if that program, since we have an improvement district in Spencer's Bridge and we're a farming community, so we have a lot of compostable that we don't know what to do with. Sometimes we share with the pigs and fellow farmers and stuff like that. But I'm wondering if that pilot program is able to, like the Spencer's Bridge Improvement District letters patent the street lighting, fire protection. So I'm wondering if that would still be something that would be feasible down the road. Say if this, we could find some funding for having another pilot, if this is successful, having something like that in Spencer's Bridge, which would be very valuable because of the farming community there.
Absolutely. And that's the plan, is that we would see how it goes. And if successful, we learn, or lessons learned, we can learn from that and expand that to other communities.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Hildebrandt?
I was just making it, highlighting for you that Director Walsh had his hand up. I wasn't sure if you noticed it.
The first?
Director Laird kind of asked my question, but just to be clear on hazardous household waste, I assume the requirement for original containers and labels is just so you know what it is.
Correct.
But I know in my garden shed, I got a lot of stuff in containers that the labels are, I know what it is roughly, but what do we do with that if we don't know? Or dump it on the ground or toss it in the garbage? Or what are people going to do with things that they can't clearly identify?
Yeah, so those are the items that they would bring to the facility, to the year-round hazardous waste facility. So that facility that we're proposing would accept exactly those materials. You don't know what it is, or you know what it is, but there's no label on it, so it cannot be accepted under the EPR program. You would bring it to the year-round collection facility.
Well, what's the one where you need to know what it is then, where it needs to be labeled? And
Yeah, that's the product care program, which is run at many of our larger sites, and the general grants in Kamloops, for example.
An Eco Depot.
oh, as opposed to a designated hazardous waste
Yes.
site. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so the product care program is a provincial program that's run at several different locations, and they take the paint, pesticides, flammables, as long as they're labeled in the original container.
Yeah.
So the facility that we're talking about for year-round household hazardous waste would take non-program materials
All right.
that residents would otherwise struggle to get rid of. And that's the dilemma. You go, well, what do I do with this? Do I put it in the garbage bag? Do I dump it on the ground?
Yeah.
Which neither of those is a great option. So this would provide you with a safe, proper disposal opportunity free of charge.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Director Walsh?
Yes, yeah, so I'm here just so that people know I'm replacing Kathy Sinkler today. But I guess I'm just curious on if there's really an initiative to try to limit the number of cardboard, and if somebody has a load that's not sorted and they're only allowed up to 10% of the load, I'm concerned how effective having just the one person being able to issue the tickets, and if the site attendants can issue warning notices or something to educate the people that are dropping it off, because I'm thinking the chances of one person going to all those different depots and being able to control the amount of cardboard coming out of those trucks. So have you looked at that, another way of just at least educating the people dropping it off if they can't issue a ticket?
Yeah, thank you. So the site attendants can absolutely provide education to those haulers and say, I've noticed the cardboard in your load. This exceeds the maximum allowable threshold of cardboard in your load. This would be subject to penalty if the bylaw enforcement officer was here, and deliver that as an education piece.
Okay. And they don't record them though, right? They're just going to be able to let them know. Okay, it just seems like it could be more effective if they had a little bit more control of even to recording who the people are that are constantly breaking the rules. But okay, I just curious. Thank you.
I just want to add to that. So this is a new initiative, obviously, for us, and so we're starting it out with one bylaw enforcement officer, and it's going to be very much let's see what type of compliance we get. If it turns out that we're having significant issues, then we'll revisit the level of enforcement that we're applying. So we're not cast in stone in terms of how we're going to approach this. So it's going to be a process as we work forward to see if we need to make adjustments. So just wanted to add that in.
I've got a couple of questions I'd like to ask. Hazard waste. We have problems getting it to the eco depot we've got now from the outlying areas. I think it's going to be really hard to get it to go to Kamloops, because there's lots of people up in our area that don't come to Kamloops year upon year. So like that. Also, are we going to do a pamphlet to show them what's allowed and what has to go to Kamloops, what's allowed at the eco depot, and how many eco depots is allowing it? All of them?
Yeah, all the eco depots. So 9 currently, and then 10 when Cache Creek has been added on.
Okay. So do you think that we could do pamphlets and send them out region wide so that people realize what's allowed at the eco depots and what's allowed has to come to Kamloops?
Yeah, we can continue that education.
Because then everybody gets it.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I have talked to Jamie about this, but concerning wood products going to the eco depots, we don't have share sheds. TMX is putting all their wood products into our eco depot, and then the waste gentleman is coming up and he's chipping it. And this is top-notch lumber that they're getting rid of. And Jamie was going to talk to TMX. I don't know if you did or not, but is there any way that we can make it so people can go get that lumber? Because the price of lumber, we're just wasting it by letting it. And TMX has got tons of it all the way down the valley. And they're just putting it into the eco depot. And I think there could be a way that we could have like a share shack somewhere, even if TMX did it, a share shack that they could go get it.
I could follow up on this question. So yeah, I've notified, haven't got a response back, but notified TMX of this concern. So our stance on this has always been, and you guys have heard me say this over and over again, we don't want people to bring good and usable items to the eco depot. That's not the place for them. That responsibility should be on the people disposing of them. So in this case, TMX. So our message to them is stop bringing us good lumber, find a way to reuse it or recycle it. And if they want to set up another way to do it, that's the way to do it. If we were to then take all their material and have to sort it, all that liability and responsibility of doing that comes on us to be all of a sudden this secondhand lumber store, and that goes into all these challenges. So we absolutely agree. Everyone agrees it's always a shame when good stuff comes to our sites, and that's where the pressure is that we want to put back on those customers to not bring it to us. So that's kind of the update. I haven't got a response from TMX. I will follow up with them because that was a couple weeks ago. And I know we're seeing it.
Are you talking to Jasmine or are you talking to somebody else?
Yeah, it was to Jasmine. Yeah.
You have a heck of a time getting anything back from Jasmine.
Okay.
So maybe try somebody else.
Okay.
Direct to Elliot.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think we all agree, I would hope we all agree, that people are throwing away things that are in their way. They don't care whether they're new, old, usable, or whatever. If it's in your way, get rid of it. And so when it comes to things like I was up at our Eco Depot or whatever you call it, our container site the other day, somebody had thrown away a perfectly good bike. Why? Well, maybe who knows why, but they get rid of them because they're in the way, cluttering up their property, whatever the reason is. You are not going to stop humanity from doing those kind of things. I don't care what you do. So if we had, Dr. Schaefer's idea, someplace that new stuff or usable things like a, what do you call it? Share shop, we would be recycling them anyway. So I think, you know, when we had the share things within our container sites, it worked pretty well. And then somebody got the idea that it was not a good idea. I think we need to, in this day and age where people are in need of things that other people throw away, it might be a good idea to go back to that and take a look at it. I don't mean a whole bunch of share shacks all over the place, but you could have one at Cache Creek and one at Public Creek or wherever that bigger eco depots are.
Can I'll just make a comment on this for a recommendation. So there was a review done and a report done. So if we revisited, we'd be revisiting something that the committee had already considered. Now that was 5 years ago. Yeah, about 4 or 5 years ago now. So it has been addressed and looked at and a decision made by the board. So this would be reconsidering that again.
But I think that what we did 5 years ago is a lot different than what we can do today. We don't need to go back and look at something that wasn't workable then. Probably workable now or whatever, but yes, I'll make that motion. That we take a look at providing some share shack depot, I mean, I don't know what they call them. David, help me. To the motion, I don't know how to word the motion.
Yeah, I would suggest that's a good starting point to revisit the report and what was recommended and what was considered then. And I know many, if not all, of the issues and concerns that existed then still exist now. So to be blunt, I don't see that anything's changed in terms of our from a staff perspective, our concerns about operational issues and liability concerns of running that. At the end of the day, the shift is you're turning your disposal site into a place where people go shopping. And so that's a whole nother world we're going into of being a place where people come to look for stuff instead of a place where people come to dispose of it. And so just to remind the recommendation and the decision of the board was to pursue the philosophy that we have is to encourage reuse and other mechanisms. So we have thrift stores. We have multiple online forums that people can just post. I did it 2 weeks ago, posted a barbecue for free. Instead of loading up in my truck and driving it all the way to landfill, throw it in a metal pile, I just put it online for free and someone picked it up the next day. I didn't have to load it up. So that mechanism is what the decision was to pursue. So by all means, we can recirculate that report again. And if the board wishes, we can revisit the issue, but I don't see a lot has changed in the world of solid waste since that report was done.
Okay, if we could then have it sent to the committee members and put it on our agenda for October or whatever our next board meeting, committee meeting is. Is that okay? That's my motion.
Director Rothenberger.
I just want to say, I really support taking another look at it as is suggested, because I remember that discussion quite well, and it was a very strong recommendation from staff. They really pushed this hard, and it was by no means a unanimous decision within the board, because a lot of us really like that concept. So I think it is time to look at it, and I don't agree that, well, nothing's changed, so, let's just brush it off. Let's actually take a serious look at it, and I think it's a good place to start to look at the original report and recommendations, but by no means should that direct us as to where we might want to go now. I think we should start with a whole fresh discussion after we receive that.
I know that my husband worked at the Baby transfer station for many years. And they started a share shack up there just on the side there. It was the best thing that ever happened. I mean, not surprising what didn't go in the garbage and what went people's yards, that people picked it up, and I thought that was good. And the caribou, I've been in the caribou one, and they seem to work very well. But they have buildings where we didn't. And I support share shacks. Oh, and another thing you said, is thrift shops only accept certain things. They don't accept bikes and everything like that. They accept clothing and dishes and things like that. They don't accept bikes and fridges and whatever.
Director Talarico on.
Director Talarico?
Good morning. A question on cardboard. What happens with contaminated cardboard now?
It's landfilled.
So how do we determine when a disposal unit comes on site, 10% or more of the cardboard is in the truck? How do we determine whether it's contaminated in transit or pre-contaminated when they pick it up?
Yeah, good question. The definition of the cardboard contamination is that it's been soiled with liquid, blood, any kind of liquid material. Jamie, are you able to give any clarification? Because you're kind of more involved in some of the development portion.
Sure, and I guess we can't give a real specific answer on this. This is part of what we're going to be working through as we move into this enforcement role. So I guess the short answer is that it would be a decision that the bylaw officer would be making as part of that investigation. So it may be a discussion with the hauler of where the source of this cardboard was. And usually you could tell by what it looks like. For example, one of the common types of cardboard that's difficult to recycle is one that's already waxed and covered in wax. So those are pretty obvious. But yeah, it'd be the discretion and a decision of the bylaw officer.
Questions will proceed with the gentleman to do his speech.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. As Adriana mentioned, I am Glenn Farrow. I am the Streets and Environmental Services Manager with the City of Kamloops. I've been there quite a few years, been in the solid waste industry for quite a while, been on different committees working with the TNRD for years, really enjoyed it. Sad to see Jamie move to a different area, but all the best to him and excited to work more closely with Adriana. So in the City of Kamloops, lots of exciting things going on. Through the earlier presentation, we saw a lot of these areas that the TNRD is leading that we're a part of, the cardboard ban, the year-round household hazardous waste site. Those are some key ones that we're working together on, but some of these ones I wanted to highlight that the city's working on that are more specific and more granular, just so everyone's aware of where we're at, because some of these programs may at some point grow and become more common or familiar across the whole region. So this is a kind of an outline of the initiatives and my presentation. So I'm going to talk about City of Kamloops operations, what we do, what we don't do. Talk more about ICI diversion. So what we've done with different tipping fees at our landfills, different collection rates, all tied back to the solid waste management plan to encourage different behaviors with the commercial sector as well as the residential sector. And then further diversion, you know, talking about wood rates and that kind of thing. But the majority of the time I'll be talking about our curbside residential organics waste collection program. We recently went forward to our Civic Operations Council Committee earlier this week to bring this forward. So I have some updates around that. So what we do in the City of Kamloops, residential curbside containers. So we have over 26,000 customers. Every single customer has one blue lidded cart and one gray lidded cart, garbage and recycling. On the right-hand side there, we see the work that some of our inspectors and educators have done around contamination. It's a constant battle. We talk about it with cardboard, we talk about it with hazardous waste. Recycling is no different. So this is some of the work we've done there. We've provided a bag as well as another bag in this particular audit indicating the product that was in the cart that should not have been there. So we've been working on this program for a few years now, and in the coming months through the summer, we're really looking to ramp this up to further educate and communicate. We have seen our contamination levels drastically decrease when we are actively working with the community in educating what should or shouldn't go in carts. There's been the odd cart that we've left at the curb and said, absolutely not, we are not taking that. The contamination, we're not talking about one simple soft plastic bag or anything. We're talking hoses, car parts, food waste, just complete garbage in that recycling cart. That's a problem. So we are looking to ramp that up to really drive that contamination level to under 5% within the City of Kamloops. We have put a lot of energy into our multifamily sector with these bins. Generally speaking, Recycle BC is not too excited about a large, 4-yard, 6-yard, large dumpster for mixed recycling, but we've had some fantastic operators who really care of the job they're doing and able to report where they're seeing contamination and problems there. So the contamination we're seeing in this side of the operation is actually better than on the residential smaller cart side of things. So looking to continue that on the bin side. We also collect cardboard from a lot of residents, and we've only expanded that. A lot of customers are aware of the bans coming, aware of what might be developing with that. So we have seen that side of the operation expand. And interesting note, this particular operation will be held to the same standard through the TNRD's plan. As a hauler, we need to work with our customers to ensure the cardboard is not going in the garbage and it's going into a separate cardboard bin and stream and being handled separately through that. With this particular operation as well, we've seen increasing rates for the larger the bin, the larger the cart, the larger the fee. So there's opportunity to divert a lot of food scraps, a lot of clothing, a lot of paper, plastic, all those kind of things. So there's an opportunity to get a smaller cart to save money. So there's a financial incentive with that as well. So our rates have all been established around that. Another part of the operation is looking after streetscape and depots. So again, another opportunity for residents within the city, as well as some of the outlying areas for mixed recycling and cardboard recycling at 3 depots around town. And we collect all these transit bins as well. On the landfill side of things, we've made some significant changes as of January 1st, 2022, around lowering our rate for wood, because we don't want to see the wood there. So we've lowered the rate for the wood, but we've really increased the mixed rate for commercial and residential construction waste. So encouraging people to do the proper source separation and plan there. We have a pretty good stream of chipping that wood and having a market for that. So that's been a great success. So we have seen the mixed material coming to our sites decrease and our wood clean product increase, and then ultimately is diverted and not landfilled. That's ultimately what we're trying to do here. a snapshot of one of the landfills. Again, lots of options at our landfills for people to divert product. So the big topic today is the organic waste collection program. So food scraps, we're looking within the city of Kamloops to divert that product from the landfill. A great opportunity. This ties back to pretty well every plan the city's developed over the past decade, not only the city, but the TNRD, even the province. If we look at Metro Vancouver, they've banned organic waste from landfill since 2015. So this isn't a new concept, not a new idea. There's other places, even in similar districts as us, to Columbia, Shuswap, Salmon Arm, Revelstoke, they're looking toward this as well. City of Vernon, they've moved forward. They didn't even do a pilot. They went straight to a full community-wide program based on all the other communities that have done this. They've really paved the way for us to do a good program and a lot of learnings from those sites. So we're taking advantage of that and moving forward. So there's some key things there. The one in the middle there really ties back to us in diverting, driving that per capita waste from 720 down to 500. And even from 500, there's still an opportunity to drive that down even further beyond 2028. So where are we right now? We're in the middle of our pilot. So we've done a lot of research, public consultation back in a couple of years, September through June of last year. We launched our pilot program in September 2021, and we're still actively doing that. It was a fairly large pilot. We had 5 different zones. So we have 5 zones across the city. One particular route in each zone was part of the pilot. So 500 homes per day are being collected, organics being collected from those homes. So about 2,500 homes are part of this pilot of the 26,000 that we have across the city. Ultimately, we're looking for a community-wide program with a launch date of July 2023. That may get shifted out based on supply chain challenges, as well as the direction that was provided by our committee earlier in the week was to go to our committee of the whole in June, and then ultimately to our council for that ultimate decision in the coming months. So here's just some more data. We've done a lot of surveys, a lot of data to understand the opportunity, who's participating, what does this look like? So right now we are shifting our collection schedule to collect garbage and recycling every other week on a rotation, with organics every single week. So that's the big shift and the big change to get our community on board with. Some exciting stats around what does this look like long term. These are pretty conservative numbers in landfill expectancy, as well as the value of that landfill space by not putting organics into the garbage, but pulling that resource out and using it for better purposes than landfilling. Can't quite see the end there, but this is a really good story too. The fact that in the past we were diverting about 18% by weight, the amount that we are collecting at the curb. So that was the blue box recycling type product. Well, by adding an organic stream on there that's also diverting that product from the landfill, we've cranked that up to almost 48% of all that we're collecting is being diverted. So that's really exciting news over the pilot. And interestingly enough, because we're only collecting every other week, we are seeing just the amount of material in total that we're collecting is actually decreasing as well. So that's exciting. What we've seen is that people have the largest 360 liter cart at the curb. They try to find it. To your point earlier, whatever's laying around, whatever's in the area goes in the bin. So you get a smaller bin, naturally less goes to the curb. So that's been part of our strategy. We've done some audits back in December. We did a control group on garbage. We could see that pretty well 50% of what's in the garbage. Is there a pointer on this? Sweet. We could see about 50% of all that's in the garbage is organics. So that's pretty exciting that we've been able to get that out and to see that decline right there. And then with the pilot folks, it's predominantly all organics. The graphic on the right is a breakdown of all the different zones. Some are participating better than others. We can see zone 3, bit of a challenge there with the green bar not being nearly as high as the others, and we have some work to do. As I mentioned, we've done a lot of surveys, a lot of community engagement on this, and we're seeing strong support for a community-wide rollout program. The first survey was for the whole community, and then the next two are specific to pilot users. One thing to note is we have had, calls and complaints, concerns, issues that are brought forward, and any of those more negative calls, we really encourage those people to sign up. We sign them up right on the spot there for further information for the survey, so they can provide that feedback to us to ultimately make a better program when we move forward. One of the concerns has been, I already do a lot of composting, and I'm sure in a lot of the rural communities that are represented here, we would hear that as well. One of the particular zones is far end of west side. A lot of places where they believe they do not need this particular compost. So interestingly enough, a lot of people that are even still composting, they still support this program. They understand there's certain products, the cooked materials, the meats, the dairy products are not generally composted in backyard composters, but rather through our system with the higher heats and the different processing, it would be handled. Another big topic is, how am I ever going to go to bi-weekly garbage collection? That's not going to work for my family. So we've seen some interesting stats around this. We are tracking this every collection day, and each particular route, we have about 500 homes, and we're seeing about 15 homes put out extra garbage or extra recycling, depending on what's being collected that day. So in the real world, on the ground, we're seeing about a 3% impact that are being challenged by only getting garbage collected every other week and recycling. So moving forward, we're looking at having an increased option for a larger recycling container, and really increasing the rate for the 360-liter garbage container, and adding a new rate for the organics program. We're looking at about $1 per month for this new service, which works out to about $12 a year, which is the same as recycling works out to. So it's on the operating side, it's about a $600,000 increase, which would be funded through the increase in the largest garbage can and the new rate of $12 per year per service. Two other things that our council still needs to wrestle with a bit and provide some further direction. One of our common concerns is every stat. We don't work stats, so your garbage collection day shifts forward. We are looking at going to a 4-day collection schedule, so always working Tuesday through Friday and working those stats that do fall between a Tuesday to Friday. Right now, with 2 statutory holidays over Easter, there will be some particular properties that will be going 20 days without garbage collection. So it's a pretty long stretch than what they're used to. We're looking at bin liners to encourage more people to get into this new system and kind of reduce that yuck factor. And then some of the things we're not recommending would be the ability to opt out. We have heard certain residents a strong desire to opt out for a variety of reasons, but we believe that the administration side of opting out, as well as the more people that opt out, the greater the fee or cost would be for those who are actually participating. So similarly to recycling, everyone's required to be in the game here. So we're also continuing to look at bear resistant containers. That's a real challenge. Some exist, some don't. What parts of the neighborhood would work? What works for our truck? All that kind of stuff. We've looked at other collection schedules. Do we collect garbage, recycling, and organics every week? Well, again, the cost would continue to climb with all these different options. We are looking at potentially a cart washing vehicle, which would wash your cart once a year to, again, reduce that yuck factor and make it a bit more palatable for the residents. Moving forward, this is a bit of our timeline that was presented to our committee earlier in the week. As I mentioned earlier, this might be adjusting a bit, but we are looking to launch a full community-wide program to reduce, significant material going to our landfill later in 2023. And that's the story about organics and waste, what's going on within the city of Kamloops. If there's any further questions, love to respond. Thank you.
I've got a comment. In Britain, on top of the recycle bins, they have it embedded in the bin of what you're allowed and what you're not allowed, instead of putting a bag up that people put in the house, forget what it's about. Would that be something feasible to do?
Absolutely. Can I hop back to that? I don't know if it comes through in the photo, probably doesn't, or you would have seen it. Every cart that we've looked at doing the embedding thing, but the challenge, so we've been in with the recycling over a decade now, and kind of a funny story. Initially, on all the lids, it said glass, or what did it say? It said no glass recycling initially. Well, then the final hour it was accepted. So we have to Dremel the no off on, because glass was accepted. And then it changed. Now glass isn't accepted. So there are some changes based on this provincial program around what's accepted and what's not accepted. So what we do is we don't order them with it embedded in there, but we do, it doesn't show on the photo, but we do apply stickers that look very similar to the bag, the blue bag hanging there, very clearly identifying what's in, what's out. It's about this big, right on top of the blue lid. That's our attempt to do what Britain's done with that.
Director Elliott?
Thank you. I don't have a question on that. What I do have a question on though is, all this is costing the taxpayers money. What's the revenue stream? Because nobody says what we're getting for revenue on all this stuff that we're recycling and redoing this and redoing that.
Right. So a fairly significant difference between the TNRD and the city is the city's solid waste utility functions entirely separate. So all the user fees, landfill fees, collection fees, all of that covers off all the expenses that it costs to run the system. So with this particular one with the organics, we know that the new cost of some new trucks, some new staff is and part of that's related to the program and part of that's related to just growth. We see about 500 new homes added each year. So with that, the additional cost is about $600,000 moving forward. That will be offset by the new revenue of the $12 per year for the organics, as well as increasing our 360-liter garbage container, I think $30, a fairly significant jump. So by doing that, that's what balances our books and doesn't impact the tax rate or taxpayers from that perspective. It's more of a separate run, a user utility.
Okay, so the same question to you, Jake.
So our program is somewhat different. We've historically, and Jamie can correct me if I'm wrong on this, our recovery in terms of what we collect on tipping fees and that sort of thing covers about 25% of our operating costs for the solid waste program. So the remaining 75% is covered through taxation, and that we have been slowly decreasing the proportion being covered by taxation to slowly progress it more towards a user fee structure, but we're still a significant ways from entirely covering costs. And the challenge, part of the big challenge there is we're operating so many sites in remote areas, and our transportation costs are significant, and be quite difficult to cover all those costs from the revenue collected just by the users. So you want to add to that, Jamie?
Is it not my understanding that every time we have anything other than garbage that's going in the landfill, all of that stuff is going to recycle and we get paid for that? Is that not right? I mean, why would we recycle if we don't get paid for the recycling products?
Go ahead.
I technically that's true. There's some revenue, but I think the better way of thinking of it is that recycling costs us less usually than garbage. It still costs us to get rid of. So yes, when the scrap metal recycling gets removed from the Savanaugh transfer station, we get some revenue. The cost of running the Savanaugh transfer station all in, including the staff and pushing back that pile and all the operations, at the end of the day, it's still costing us money to operate the Savanaugh transfer station. We're not making money. So any revenue we get does go back into the solid waste budget that is recognized as a revenue line, and in our annual budget, it shows up that way, that we have revenue from taxation, we have revenue from disposal fees, and we have revenue from recycling revenue. So that is built into our budget, and there is some revenue there. But
And so Jamie, what in the future are we going to continue to tax to provide solid waste management?
under the regional model that we operate, yes. There's no way that we can if you break it down, I'll just use an example. Pick a small transfer station like the Little Fort transfer station. So small community-based transfer station where we have it's necessary to provide that service to the community, but the revenue that we generate there is very small. So a site like that is costing us $40,000 a year to operate, and revenue there is probably in the few thousand at the most. So those sites are always going to be losing from a cost point of view. The large sites, if they were operating independently, could fund themselves. But the whole model and the system that we operate in the TNRD is a regional service. So all areas and all municipalities except Kamloops pay into providing the service regionally.
Director Gillis?
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Vieira, didn't the whole ball game change in terms of recovery for plastics, in particular 2 or 3 years ago when China stopped accepting plastics, and we ended up in a situation, it seems to me, we ended up with our transfer stations and eco depots overwhelmed with product for a while before we were able to find a place to dispose of them. Is that not correct?
Yes, that's correct. And that was happening at the same time that we were transitioning onto the provincial Recycle BC program. So what the situation we're in now is we don't directly have to market and find a revenue or a market for household recycling. We've entered into agreement with Recycle BC. They're responsible for finding that end market, and we get some revenue from Recycle BC for the collection service that we're providing by getting that material.
Any more questions? If not, we'll go with the recommendation. Does somebody want to move the recommendation? Second? Oh, did you have something you want? I would just like to thank you for coming and giving us a report on the city of Kamloops. That's great to hear.
Thank you for having me. Anytime I'm available. It's a passion. So
That wouldn't be too easy with that.
Madam Chairman, we didn't vote on the motion.
Oh, okay, sorry. All in favor?
Sorry, I just need to reload the report here. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Wonderful. Okay, thank you. So the second report today is on hours of operation review and public survey results to share with the committee. I think we're just making sure that it's shared properly to the online group. All good? Perfect. All right. So, yeah, hours of operation review and public survey results. So we completed a comprehensive review to ensure that we're still providing a high level of service to residents using the solid waste network while maintaining financial responsibility for the cost of the service. The review focused on site use data, sites where there are operational concerns, either that we've heard from the public, TNRD staff, or site contractor staff, and results from the public surveys that took place. As a quick heads up, we're not recommending any reduced hours at any sites. We're recommending some additional hours at sites where we have some operational concerns, also supported by public feedback. So this includes 70 Mile House, Cache Creek, Heffley Creek, Lac Lejeune. I'll speak in more detail to that one a little bit later. Loon Lake, Lewis Creek, Paul Lake, and Savannah. Paul Lake and Savannah are being recommended for additional, Savannah and Cache Creek are being recommended for additional year-round hours, whereas the rest are seasonal sites. Their sites shift. There's a summer season and a winter season. And the recommendation is an extension of the summer season to include the month of October. So some background on this, the current hours that we have at the facilities were set by the board in 2015, which was based on a review that took place in 2014. And the reason that we're doing this again is we had committed to doing this periodically to ensure that we're still meeting the needs of the communities. Things change over time, so it's good to check in and make sure that we're still providing that service that's required in the communities. So this review looked at the last 5 years of data where it was available, hourly customer counts at the facilities. It looked at annual tonnage and annual revenue, as well as operational concerns, which I mentioned. And also we collected public feedback last year in 2021. There were public surveys that were conducted from July to September. They were available both online and in hard copy at the sites. And the survey was advertised on our website, or sorry, on site. So the site attendants were engaging with residents. There was posters put up through our website, posters in the community, social media, and radio. I will add when I get to the results here that obviously there was a lot going on with fires during that time last year, and that impacted, I think, some of the results that we received back from the community members, but I'll touch on that a little bit more later. So quick recap for 2021. So we had 205,000 customers visit our solid waste facilities. This number is actually just residents who had a chargeable transaction. It doesn't actually include residents who visited the site and did not pay fees. So the number is likely much higher, but at the eco depots, we're not tracking residents who come in and recycle and just leave. So this is just the waste transactions. And we have received the updated census data, which shows us that in our region, between 2016 and 2021, overall, the region has experienced an 8.4% population growth. And then I wanted to highlight our revenue through tipping fees. So this graph is showing you from 2010 to 2021. This is the revenue that's coming in from tipping fees. So it's been steadily rising over time as we have more folks using the sites. We've also changed fees. You notice the increase in 2015. That's when we implemented the increased rate for DRC and source separated materials. This is a lot of information on one graph, but this is a quick snapshot of our annual customer counts from when we did the last snapshot back in 2014 and the new snapshot in, this is the 2021 data. This is organized by site by least busy to the most busy. So you can see that Lower Nicola is definitely leading the pack over there. The green bar is showing you the 2021 data. It's also interesting to look at average customers per hour. Now, the 2014 snapshot, that was from before the 2015 hours were implemented. So there's been changes to those numbers over time. But again, this is also showing from least busy to the most busy, with 2021 being shown as the green bar. And this is a summary of annual tonnage by site. These are the sites that bring in over 100 tons per year. Showing you again 2014 versus 2021. We can see some different variations there over time. Heffley Creek, you'll notice that in 2014 that that bar is way up. In 2014, the site was still accepting municipal solid waste or garbage in addition to the DRC, and now it's only accepting DRC. So that's why you see that tonnage go down so much. Yeah.
One of the things that screws up that philosophy is when you look at Savannah and then you look at around Savannah for Cherry Creek, Savannah and Tobiano, we have an alternate service, but that alternate service takes all their garbage to Kamloops.
That's right.
So when I look at that, I think, oh my God, you know, we're not using the Savannah site where I know that all of that stuff could be, because it is within that area, that tonnage should be way higher.
Absolutely. I'll add as well that in 2014, we had just moved to the waste scale system, and we also had waste moving to different landfills, and it wasn't tracked in our system. So our tracking it's gotten much better in 2021. We're now capturing all our bins as they move into their destination landfill sites. And now all of that information is contained within our own software system. So any loads that actually go into the Mission Flats landfill are imported into our system. We've got great reporting on that now, as well as the Campbell Hill landfill. So that's why we looked at the data in a variety of different ways, because you can't just rely on one thing or the other, depending on what year you're looking at. Yeah.
Director Gillis?
Yeah, just, sorry. Please enlighten me. I thought DRC was the Democratic Republic of Congo. So what's DRC?
Demolition, renovation, and construction.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so here's a highlight of the surveys that took place. So overall, we had 704 residents respond. The feedback that they gave collected information on how frequently they use the site, their desired day and time to visit the site, as well as start and end dates for summer versus winter hours. So you can see here, this chart is long, so it's split into two different sides. In some locations, we had very little feedback, and in other locations, we had pretty decent feedback given the size of some of the communities. This was taken into account, making the recommendations, is how strong was the feedback from these different communities. So yeah, you can see there that some were very responsive and others not so much. But again, there was a lot going on with the fires at that time. So I think that had maybe impacted how many folks were responding, but in some locations we do have decent feedback. So what we found overall is that the existing hours that are in place are meeting customer needs at the majority of facilities. However, we're recommending additional hours for Cache Creek and Savannah. And Cache Creek as well, we're currently running the transfer station, but in August, we'll be opening the new Eco Depot. So that's another part of this exercise, is to review those hours and make sure that when we open the new Eco Depot, that those hours meet the needs of the community. So we don't want to be changing the hours after that new facility is open. And then we're recommending extending the summer hours, again, to include the month of October at 70 Mile, Heffley Creek, Loon Lake, Lewis Creek, and Paul Lake. Sun Peaks also has seasonal hours, but we are recommending that those stay as is. So now I'll move into further discussion about the sites where there are recommendations. So the first one is 70 Mile House. And this is one with the seasonal hours, recommending a shift to include the month of October for summer hours. So at this site, we've noticed an 11% increase overall in total customer count, and then a slight increase in the customers per hour. The majority of survey respondents actually use the site in both summer and winter. 45% would like to see the summer hours extended. So we're recommending that extension, which totals 64 additional hours over the year for a cost of $4,540. And here's the monthly customer count graph for 70 Mile. So you can see in October, site use is still quite high, and then it really drops off November, December, January, February, starts coming back up a bit in March. The Cache Creek Eco Depot. So this site is currently open on Wednesdays and Sundays from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. We're proposing the schedule shift to be Tuesday to Sunday, 8 until 4. This is in line with our other eco depots, the same type of similar schedule. And then considering a possible opening for commercial traffic only on Mondays, but we're still in process and discussions with those customers. If they can adjust their hauling schedule, the preference would be for the site to have one fully closed day. We're still working that out. So again, the new facility is opening August 2022. This location is the 9th busiest site by customer count and 5th for overall incoming tonnage. Receives a lot of large commercial loads from the curbside programs in Ashcroft and Cache Creek, as well as from the local First Nation bands. And what we saw in the survey is that respondents would like earlier access to the facility. And we also see in the data that the customer count drops way down after 4 o'clock. So the recommendation is that the site be open for an additional 8 hours per week for public access, with a possible 4-hour opening for commercial only, and that cost would be $23,640 for the year. And I'll add that this cost was already factored into the final budget for this year and anticipated additional operating costs. And here's the average customers per hour graph for Cache Creek, where you can see we've got, there's usually a lineup by the time they're opening the site at 10 a.m. And then you can see it drops right down after 4 o'clock. Okay, the Heffley Creek Eco Depot.
Director Rothenberger.
Sorry, I should have let you talk first, but I'm confused about a couple of these, Heffley Creek as well as Paul Lake, and I think the one that was 70 Mile are all the same. There's proposed changes to the winter and summer seasons, but the days of the week and the hours of operation are exactly the same. So all you've done is put different dates in there. I'm confused. Can you sort that out for me, what you're actually doing?
Correct. Yeah, we aren't recommending a change to the days or the times, just an extension, keep the same hours, but extend the summer season by 1 month.
But it doesn't change anything, does it? What's it change? You're still 8 to 4,
Yeah.
Tuesday to Saturdays and Tuesday to Sundays. Both the current and the proposed are identical, except that you've changed dates.
Oh, no, I think yeah, it would be adding.
An extra month of Sundays.
But
Right, but
it's still Sunday. You still got Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Sunday.
yeah, that's
One more month from September. In the proposed.
But it's the same.
yeah, but what he's saying is that that right now, so Tuesday to Saturday, 8 to 4, Tuesday to Sunday, 8 to 4. I think there might be a mistake in the chart, actually.
The main change is October. We're adding October. Where
Oh, right, for Heffley Creek. So yeah, right now in the winter time for Heffley, it's closed on Sundays, and this would allow it to be open for 4 additional Sundays for this summer season.
Oh,
right?
One of these things is not like the other.
Yeah, so I get, yeah, that is kind of a confusing layout. I get what you're saying. Okay, so for Heffley Creek, right now in the summer, it's open Tuesday until Sunday. And so the recommendation is that instead of the winter hours starting on October 1st, they would start on November 1st. So you'd have 4 extra Sundays in the summer. Yeah. 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 Well, and that's what we see is when we look at the monthly counts is there's not really a drop off in October like you might expect there would be. There's still really high usage. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sorry, okay, are we okay to move forward? Okay.
Did you figure it out yet, Ralph? No?
no.
Well, it's an extra month of Sundays because it extends into summer and decreases winter.
Yeah, so that it's just 4 extra Sundays in the summer
In the winter,
season.
there was only Saturday, up to Saturday. Now there's up to Sunday in the winter.
Yeah.
On the top, summer ends in September, on the bottom, summer ends in October.
That's right. Okay. Okay, so we'll jump into more details on Heffley Creek. So here we've seen an 18% increase in customer count since 2019. Survey respondents indicated that they would like to see the summer hours extended. So the recommendation is to extend summer hours to include the month of October. This is 32 additional hours for $2,270 per year.
Director Rothenberger?
Just one more question. I have to creek, but we did do a survey up there a few years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago now. I just wondered if you had looked at that and whether what the changes were between that survey and the recent.
Yeah, so I did look at that survey. I think that was in 2018. And at that time, we were trying to gauge if there was interest in keeping the same amount of hours per year, but splitting an 8-hour day into 2 4-hour openings. And they were not interested in that option at that time. Yeah. So here's the monthly customer count graph for Heffley Creek. Similar to what you'll see for the other sites is we still have quite high customer count during the month of October and then a drop down in November. So supporting that recommendation to shift the seasonal hours. The Lac Lejeune transfer station. So this site is open Wednesdays from 8 to 12 and Sundays from 9 until 1. What we're seeing here is the majority of visitors, I'll just click over to here for a second, are visiting the site on Sundays versus Wednesdays. And one of the issues that we're having here is customers enter the site through this entrance road. Sorry, you can't see my little pointer. It's half dying, I think. They use the mouse, okay. Here we go. So they enter the site through the gate. They come up here. The recycling areas up here, and then they kind of circle around or back up to use the waste disposal bins, and then they exit the site down here. This lower pad is used for the truck kind of servicing these bins, the roll-offs, and pulling them out. During Sundays, that 4-hour opening is extremely busy, and what we're noticing is customers, traffic getting congested at the drop-off area, the loop around, lining up down this driveway and at times out onto Meadow Creek Road, which causes safety concerns for site users as well as road users with the lineup kind of spilling out there. So what we'd like to do here is actually, we've got some space. Our site boundary is right over here on the side. This is our fence line. So we feel we have room to actually create a ring road right through here, which would allow customers to enter the site. We'd like to move the site attendant office and recycling area down below. They can visit the attendant, stop to do their recycling. If folks need to go around, they can drive up one direction, drop off their waste, and then exit the site. to alleviate the traffic congestion. We get residents as well coming in with trailers, and that's difficult for them to maneuver and back up to the bins when it's quite busy. So in discussion with Director Elliott regarding the proposal in this report, we're actually going to hopefully use some, is it BCCF funding, the term? Is it? Canada Community Building Fund. This should be eligible, this capital upgrade, to use that funding. So we're going to investigate that as the solution for the congestion that's happening at the Lac Lejeune transfer station.
Director Walsh, did you want to ask a question?
Nope. Is my hand up here? Nope, I'm good.
And I'll just add that this site is funded out of the alternative waste collection service in Area J, so separate from the overall solid waste service. So that's just a note of why we're excited to hopefully use some funding to complete that upgrade. So yeah, this is just showing kind of the average over the hour, and our average is 10 customers per hour, which has created issues for the attendant and the customers. So we have the Loon Lake transfer station. So we've seen here a slight increase in annual customers overall and customers per hour. Customers here, there was pretty good responses from the community. And many of them indicated that they actually use the site year round and were in favor of extending the summer hours. So for Loon Lake, this would be an additional 64 hours per year for a cost of $1,980 per year. And again, similar thing, drops off a bit in October, but we still have pretty high site usage. April and October are pretty well equal to one another in favor of extending that summer season for these folks. Perfect. Okay. I was like, oh my gosh, did I put the chart in there wrong? Yeah.
Director Gillis?
Thank you, Chair. One of your earlier ones, and I'm sorry, I don't remember which one, you had 64 additional hours costing $4,540. And this one, the previous one, you've got 64 additional hours costing $1,980. I want you to find out why we got that bargain on those 64 hours and apply it to the other one.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's happening there is some sites only have one site attendant and other ones have two site attendants. One's a site attendant and one's an operator. So those were the staffing costs that were factored into the cost calculation.
So the $1,980 one is just one person, I take it, for an extra 64 hours.
Yeah,
That'd be
let's see
correct?
which one that is. I'll go this way. So we have, actually, let's just go to the summary chart. That's way far back. Oh my gosh, this clicker needs help.
It's okay. I get the picture. It seems to me that the one that the $4,540 one obviously involves 2 or 3 people.
Correct, yeah, 70 Mile House.
For an additional 64 hours, and this other one is one person for an addiction, correct?
Correct, yep.
Okay.
So that would be 70 Mile and Loon Lake, both 64 hours. However, the cost at 70 Mile is much higher, and
Okay.
that's due to an operator being on site as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry, my mic wasn't put back on. And then Paul Lake Transfer Station. This one is, the hours are, we're proposing that those stay the same. And again, the extension of the summer season. And in this area, we've seen quite an increase in annual customers, 4.1%. And that's also reflected in the average customers per hour. It's a very busy site there. Luckily, it's got the ring road, so people can drive around. We don't have as much concern with traffic congestion or safety issues. The majority of customers here are using the site year round, and 66.7% of respondents were in favor of extending those seasonal hours. This is a site with one attendant, so this would only be $990 per year to add that extension on. And here's our graph showing the use at Paul Lake. Again, still fairly high in October and then dropping down in November. And the Savinaw transfer station. So right now, this site has 2 8-hour openings on Monday and Thursday with a 4-hour opening on Sunday. The proposal here is to add an additional 4 hours to the Sunday availability and have the site open from 8 until 4. What we've seen here is that the average customers per hour has increased from 1.9 to 5.2 since 2015. And the recent census data shows us that we've had a huge growth in the community of Tobiano. And during that 4-hour Sunday opening, our average customer count is 17 per hour, which is very, very high. We're constrained by the boundaries at that site, so adding a ring road isn't really a viable option in order to help alleviate that congestion. And we're getting a lot of trailer loads in there, which people are backing up in a congested area. You get people tired of waiting to drop off their bag of garbage, and they're just parking down below and walking it up and putting it in the bin. And it's become very difficult for the site attendant to manage the amount of customers that are there on Sunday. So the recommendation for Savinaw is that the site have those 4 additional hours every Sunday, which is 208 hours over the year at a cost of $6,430. And this is just showing kind of your average customers per hour by day of the week, and super concentrated on Sunday. And overall, in those survey results, we see that people have a preference for using the site on the weekend, especially Sunday seems to be the most popular day when you look at the overall community response. Yeah.
Could we not shut it down on Monday and open it on Saturday? Given us a 2-week end days would stop some of that congestion, could stop some of that congestion. And most people are not home on Monday. You know,
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
Monday is the lowest of the views there.
Okay. Yeah.
Would you be okay to look at that?
I think if the committee supports the recommendation for the overall hours and the cost of those hours, then we could look at alternatives for the days and the times.
Okay.
I would recommend that we probably do another community survey to make sure that they're in support of that.
A lot of them though don't really care because they're being picked up at curbside.
Right.
So, you know, that screws your survey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would. Yeah, I'm thinking that we would survey at the site and say, you know, we're recommending, it's been approved to have these 208 extra hours. Would you rather have an opening, you know, this many hours on Saturday, this many hours on Sunday, and we could rejig those hours.
Good.
Yeah, as the community desires.
That would work. Thank you.
Okay.
Adriana, can I jump in with a comment on
Yeah.
that? So definitely we could look at that. One thing that's not addressed here is that these historical hours are also based on serving commercial customers. So not just customer count, we need to look at volumes. So the Skeetcheston Indian Band, who's a customer of ours, hauls their commercial loads in on Monday and Thursdays. So that's what this was based around. And we also used to have our own collection truck dump there on Mondays and Thursdays. So when we look at this, we need to consider both customer count and the community wishes, but also our commercial customers. Sometimes we have one customer that brings in 50% of the material to the site.
We also have to remember that Thompson River Estates use that site totally. So.
Thank you. Okay, so nearing to the end here, the financial implications of the recommendation is overall, we would see an increase of $43,110 in operating costs coming out of the solid waste service budget. Big chunk of that is the Cache Creek Eco Depot, the $23,640, which was approved, considered in the cost of the final 2022 budget. And then right now that residual extra cost that's remaining can be managed within that existing budget. So if the recommendation today supports this, we could implement these changes this year. And that is the end of the verbal presentation. So if there are any questions that I could answer about the sites or the data.
Director Rice.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks for the presentation, by the way. Great to know that it's going to open August 27th this year, the Eco Depot. There's a lot of angst and anxiety in our community because of the floods and the fires. And then the Eco Depot is becoming very visible on the trip here today from the highway. So I am getting inquiries as to not only our Eco Depot being, down below Acacia Grove and the highways taking over our Eco Depot on Highway 8. And when's that going to change back? That's one answer I don't have, and I don't think the ministry has it right now. But I'm just thinking if there might be an appetite for our staff to look at maybe having a public field day down at the new Eco Depot to maybe inform the folks, not only let them see the site, say sometime in early summer or something, and the progress being made, because it looks like it's going to be a wonderful facility, but also to inform them, because we'll have more information from the highways about when maybe the Eco Depot is going to be back, where it was previously located. And I don't think it'll be anytime this year. It might even be next year. And that's why the anxiety question comes up, because there's so much heavy equipment and trucks going on that highway. I don't see us moving back there anytime soon. But I am getting a lot of inquiries, and I think it'll be for transparency's sake and just for the folks there. Any information they get is a good thing right now. There's a lot of anxiety because, we're the first ones back, and it's been 5 months and 5 days, and we're not even all the way back. We still don't have hot water. So the other folks aren't going home anytime soon. Big stretch to go. So if you could at least consider maybe sometime in June or something, early summer, to coming down and just making a public field day, and you can sort of give everybody an update, answer some questions and stuff. I think it'd be good for everyone involved. And so that's just something I'd like to put towards staff as a possibility.
Thank you. And is that an update for how long they'll be at the temporary transfer station, or an update on the progress at Cache Creek Eco Depot?
I think it should be all inclusive,
Okay.
And this is going to open it. You'll know for sure probably by then if August, and we're going to meet that date kind of thing and stuff for the new Eco Depot. Go over the hours real quick and stuff like that. Tell the people. It just shows we're being transparent. We're out there, face to face. I think it's a good thing for the TNRD to do as an entity, and it's certainly a good thing for those folks that are really suffering from some real anxiety issues right now about everything going on also in Spence's Bridge and the Lytton area, because I don't even know the schedule. So I don't have the answer. I have one answer now. We're shooting for August 2022. And so that's a good thing. And the other thing I was wondering about, one more question, follow-up question. I don't know this, but Highways has been using our Eco Depot for some time now and stuff like that. And I know now I'm probably not going to get any money from disaster relief funding for my farm, because if I didn't lose infrastructure where I plant, I grow, I'm going to get no money. Some people are going to get some money, but I can't check any boxes on my disaster relief form. That being said, I have no hot water. I don't have an irrigation pump, and that said, but I'm wondering, this is a provincial question. Is the province or anybody kicking in for them using our Eco Depot site? Are we getting paid anything by the month, or are they just up there for free? I don't know.
Good question. So what, yeah, they do have their site attendant or their mobile office is currently on site.
Mhm.
There isn't an agreement where they're paying us to use that site, although they did move all of our recycling sheds to the temporary transfer station free of charge as a thank you.
Yeah.
And they did put in an upgraded hydro drop, which will be left there once they're gone.
Okay.
So right now we're not receiving any payment from them.
I was just curious. I didn't know they have been good community citizens. It's not about the people on the ground. It's about the province in my mind. So I have some more other questions about the province and the funding's coming our way, but that's not your guys' issue. But I was just curious if there was a rental fee. Typically, if they wanted the site, they'd be paying the regional district some kind of funding for that, but we did get something in trade. So you know,
Yeah.
that's up to the board, not to me.
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate that. And then to directly answer the question about an open house, I think that's absolutely something that we could accommodate.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Director Bolden?
Thank you. Just as a follow-on to that, just wondering, it's been a while for Cache Creek and Ashcroft area residents waiting for the Eco Depot. It's much anticipated. I'm just hoping that there is going to be a sort of a re-education campaign, because a lot of people have got out of the habit of using the transfer station because it is up a mountainside. And they took the recycling depots, so-called, out of town 4 years ago. People have fallen out of the habit of recycling. And I think it's going to need a real campaign in the whole area just to reacquaint people and to let them know what services the Eco Depot will offer that are not currently available at the transfer station, like the hazardous waste drop-off.
Yeah, absolutely. We're right now we're working on finalizing modifications to our contracts with all the different stewards to confirm the programs that we'll offer there. It should be the full suite of programs that we offer everywhere else. And absolutely, yeah, we'll commit to doing education and community awareness so that folks know where the site is, when it's open, what they can bring there. And there'll be lots more opportunities for them to divert and recycle. So it's probably a good time to kind of turn a new leaf for some of those folks and hopefully get them back on board. And I've got some updated pictures of the site coming up in just a few minutes once we're onto the operations updates for you.
Director Walsh?
Yes, I just have a question. So it's from a Kamloops perspective, because I heard this mentioned that Cherry Creek and Tobiano are not using the Savanaw transfer station. They're using Kamloops. So is there any financial considerations from TNRD to compensate for that use of the Kamloops landfill? Or is that just, they just get to, because I'm looking at the size of Tobiano now, it seems to be growing quite a bit. There's a lot of houses out there and it's growing. So what are the considerations for that? Is it just that they drop it off at our landfill for free and there's no financial, because we can't obviously tax them?
Maybe I'll clarify when Kamloops was mentioned in relation to the Tobiano Savannah area, that was referencing the curbside collection program. And it's that the curbside collection truck, after it collects its route, goes to the city of Kamloops landfill to dump that material.
Okay, so that's
and they pay there's fees that are paid to the city for that material.
Oh, because it's a private contractor delivering it?
Yes,
Yeah, okay. Okay, thanks.
you're welcome.
Okay, would somebody like to move the recommendation if there's no more questions? Director Rothenberger, second? Second. Director Laird?
Thank you. All right, so we're in the end zone now. This is a fairly quick operational update for the group. So I wanted to give an update on the Lower Nicola landfill. So of course, November 14th, there was terrible flooding in Merritt. This is a photo of how extensive that damage was. Hundreds of homes flooded, the entire community evacuated. Yeah, very catastrophic event for the community. And as you can imagine, flooding when the waters recede equals a lot of garbage that people have to get rid of. A lot of damage was created from this flood. And then as well, that same atmospheric river event impacted the community of Brookmere. There was quite a lot of damage to some homes in that community as well. The TNRD and City of Kamloops, or sorry, City of Merritt partnered on a curbside collection program for debris collection within the city. And also that's happening in Brookmere. They're working on that right now. The city curbside program is winding down, but all of that material has flowed into the Lower Nicola landfill through the contractors for that program, contractors working separately to clean up flood debris, as well as a lot of residents self-hauling their own debris. So here are the stats on material that has come in just, this is all flood related material. These numbers don't include kind of regular garbage that comes in separately. So you can see that we've had quite a huge amount of material come in. To put it into perspective, we generally in a year accept about 8,000 tons of garbage at Lower Nicola. And from November until now, we have accepted 146 tons of concrete, 211 tons of asbestos containing material. So this was all damaged drywall that was ripped out of houses after it was saturated with muddy water. Nearly 2,000 tons of demolition, renovation, and construction material, 1,800 tons of refuse, 241 tons of wood, 503 mattresses and box springs, 182 tons of metal, and 2.8 tons of yard waste. The total fees for this material is $536,200. The good news is that the province, we have an expense authorization form in place, and these fees have been charged to Emergency Management BC. We screen all the loads when they come in, collect all the details from folks. It's been, I'd have to commend all the staff at Lower Nicola. They've done a fantastic job and they've worked really hard to keep track of all of this material. But yeah, there's been quite an impact on the landfill as a result of this event. So that's kind of our recap on what's happened there. Here's some photos from the landfill just showing kind of their working cell with the household waste. And this is more of the construction debris. Sorry, that photo is a little bit dark and hard to see. We're definitely seeing things kind of hopefully starting to slow down. We're kind of in the final push of debris cleanup. And after the month of May, tipping fees will no longer be waived to the province. So there's a big push right now for everybody to get their cleanup activities done and take advantage of kind of the fee waiver that's in place to charge fees to Emergency Management BC. This is just showing kind of a week by week graph of the incoming material to the landfill. So you can see that right after the event was a huge influx of material, and then unfortunately, to have a flooding event in November and then the winter sets in, it was difficult for people to clean up. So we're seeing an increase now that it's warmed up, and support groups have also moved into the area to help residents remove materials from their homes. And the Cache Creek Eco Depot update. So this is a brand new Eco Depot facility going into Cache Creek. There's a $1.8 million capital cost on this project, and we completed $1.6 million in upgrades in 2021, with the rest happening now. And we should be on target to open this facility in August. There'll be a 40-foot commercial weigh scale being installed. So similar to our other Eco Depots, this site will move from a volume-based tipping fee schedule to a weight-based, which will be fantastic for that community. And we'll be offering our full suite of diversion and EPR programs at that location. And here's some updated photos just from yesterday or the day before as to what the site currently looks like. So yeah, a lot of the earthworks is all done. The lock block wall compounds are constructed. They are working on, they've poured foundations as well for the scale house and prepping for the scale installation. And then this is the area where we'll have a covered building for some recyclable materials. So we're fairly excited to get this up and running. This has been a big project and we're looking forward to opening it and welcoming the community. And then quick update on the reloadable eco cards. So we touched on this at the last meeting. So this is our new system, which is replacing the punch eco cards. We're right in the end zone to have the remainder of these sites. So Blue River, Loon Lake, Eakin Lake, and Agate Bay. They'll be online by the end of April. So this means the site attendant will be using a mobile device to log customers' loads right into that system. And this will be exciting moving forward. So thinking back to the hours of operation review, I'm pretty excited to do it in a few years from now when we have all the data from all the sites just right at our fingertips all in one place. So that'll be fantastic. We've so far signed up just over 2,000 residents on the new reloadable eco cards. So we've got pretty good uptake already. Customers are able to register for those new cards either at their local site or online. If they do it online at the TNRD website, we register them and then send them the cards in the mail. And we had kind of held off on large scale advertising about this change until we had all the sites online. We didn't want somebody to hear about the program and then sign up for an eco card and not be able to use it at their local site. But now that we'll have everybody functioning on the new system by the end of this month, we'll start our region-wide advertising in May. So that's pretty exciting.
I would like to know are the old cards going to stay for people that don't have online?
The old cards will be phased out, but you do not have to have a computer or an email to top up your card. You can do top ups either at a local Eco Depot. You can mail in a check or a money order into the main office. You can do it through online banking. So there's more flexibility in how folks can pay for their fees, even if they don't have a computer or an email address. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Is there a time frame that just, first of all, does Spencer's Ridge attendant has he got the reloadables already or?
He should, yeah.
He should, okay. So that, when Craig comes in for coffee every morning, the attendant, and he asked me about these cards and I wasn't sure about them, not a big deal, but he wasn't sure how they worked. Are we training the site attendants and stuff like that at the time? Or is this a Craig issue?
Yeah.
In which it could have been.
Right, right. And you know what, Craig trained on the program. He was one of the first transfer stations to start using it.
Okay.
And at first we'd held off on the cards
Okay.
because we weren't quite ready.
Yeah.
So I'll have to touch base with our staff person
Okay.
and see that we maybe revisit
Okay.
Craig and make sure that he's all up to speed on
Sounds
the
great.
updates.
Yeah, no, it
Yeah.
sounds great. And what is the time frame for phasing out the punch cards that I'm buying here right now and giving,
Yeah, that's a great question. So we, in January, we stopped selling punch cards at our Eco Depots. So
Okay.
we still have remaining inventory and we'll continue to sell that inventory to retailers until it's gone.
Thank you.
And if you as a retailer find that as people come online to the new system and you're not moving those cards, I don't know if you're an upfront purchaser or if you're on contract, but we'll purchase the cards back from you and we can distribute to other retailers who might still want to carry them. Okay. Yeah, Jamie?
And just a point of clarification, even though they're phasing out the punch cards, if someone has a punch card, they won't be null and void. They can use it up and it will still be valid. They just, at one point, they won't be able to buy them again. The punch card, they'll have to buy the new type of card.
Director Elliott?
Jamie, there was, or I have, some of the more rural folks that don't get curbside collection that have a yearly card of some kind. I don't know what that card looks like anymore. What's happening to that?
I'll answer that question.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. So those folks, so that's Black Pines, Lac Lejeune, and Tronquil Valley.
Oh,
Those-
wow, then there's Tunquil Lake Valley.
Yes.
All of the ones up where our curbside collection is not.
Correct. Yeah. So all of those folks received the new reloadable card in January. And they're using that card to process their fees. So they get $104 credit at the start of the year. And then the money will just come off of that account. It'll be wiped at the end of the year and then reloaded automatically in January.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions? Director Rothenberg.
Yeah, that's the end of the operations update.
Try to raise this at least once a year, but the Black Pines transfer station, it was designed by an evil person. It is so tight. Basically one vehicle can go in, and if you go back and forth enough times, you can actually get turned around, unload, and then leave. Meanwhile, there are 2 or 3 other vehicles parked out on West Side Road waiting because there's not room for 2. I just wonder with the expansion of our right of way there in connection with the well site, whether there's an opportunity now to enlarge that very tiny transfer station area enough to make it more efficient. Is there any thought being given to it?
Yeah, the short answer is yes, and we are in the midst of doing that as part of the water system upgrades. So I may be coming to you for a contribution in terms of the improvements on the solid waste end of it. But I'm just waiting for some more information and costs.
Any more questions? Director Rothenberger.
Sorry, and this isn't directly to do with the business of this meeting, but I wondered what the status might be of our vaccine policy for staff and the parallel policy for the board, because local governments are doing away with their vaccine policies now. And I wondered if ours is going on pause or has been already. And particularly, we now have 2 unvaxxed directors, and they might be interested in being able to attend in person, and how we can go about looking at that. Do you require a motion at a regular meeting, or how can we look at it?
Deanna.
I can speak to that, Director Rothenberger. In terms of the staff policy, that's been on pause for some time now. We put that on pause a couple of months ago, so we're not enforcing that. In terms of the directors, you'll recall that you passed a resolution back in February to require that board members must be fully vaccinated to attend in person. However, we've had recent conversations with our legal counsel about this. This will be coming to the board this afternoon. Given that there are little to no provincial requirements, health requirements right now, it's very questionable whether we can continue to enforce a vaccine requirement on board members. But procedurally, we do require a resolution to a motion to rescind that resolution. So we're adding this as a late agenda item on the agenda this afternoon.
Director Watson.
Thank you. Tomorrow is Earth Day. And I find there isn't a lot of noise being made about it in the media. And I'm wondering if in future, we and as solid waste management purveyors can make a lot of noise about it prior to Earth Day to encourage people to get out there and pick up garbage. Just thinking.
Absolutely, I can add some feedback to that. Yeah, we would love to be supportive of Earth Day and support community cleanup initiatives. Of course, we have our illegal dumping and community cleanup program, but I think we could do some more promotion around, Earth Day cleanup. One of our staff persons who takes care of that is on parental leave right now. So that was part of maybe lack of information that you've seen this year, but hopefully next year we can kind of be more on top of it.
I used to invite people for my birthday party and have them pick up garbage along my street. Strangely, more and more people didn't come to my birthday party.
Director Swan?
I was just going to wish Director Watson happy birthday. And no, I won't sing.
So moved.